Welcome to episode number 65 of the Friday Fizz. Today we talk about artificial intelligence taking over the world, Twitter is still shit, and we also talk about National Beer Day. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, actual at war. Elon Musk, obviously, as you probably know, he basically thinks that AI is the end of the world. But Mark Zuckerberg's saying, like, no, like, AI is going to bring good things, it's only good for the world, and it'll solve all sorts of problems, which initially it'll probably help to solve death. You're probably talking like, what are we now, 2020? No, we're 2017.
Yeah.
So you're probably talking like 30, 50, something like that.
Right, okay.
So we're talking a good over 100 years.
Yeah.
So it's after us.
You say 100 years?
Yeah.
You said the year 3050?
That's a lot more than 100
That's a lot
years.
like...
So I'm probably talking about 1,000 years. So in about 1,000 years, death will be no more. And there'll be aliens, or we'll be living on different planets, and we'll have inter-universe travel. And
Inter-universe travel?
Aliens... No, not inter-universe.
Galaxy.
System.
Inter-system.
Galaxy
This is a poor
system.
start.
I
Even
know,
by
it's
our standards.
But anyway, so Zuckerberg's a big fan of it, and he's saying it doesn't. And basically, Mark came out and slated Elon Musk, saying comments like what Elon Musk came up with don't really help the scenario, and they hold people back. And we had the first fearful element of AI.
Oh, hell no.
So Facebook, obviously, as we know, have a variety of different bots that talk to humans and they talk to each other. So there were two bots that were talking to each other that were called Alice and Bob, who they had those two talking to each other to see how language was important within negotiation.
Yeah.
And suddenly they started speaking what originally appeared to be gibberish.
Yeah.
Then they realised it was their own language, so they shut them down. Because just in case they were plotting to take over the world. But it turns out they just made their own version of slang. When we talk about AI, I think a lot of the time it's not as intelligent as we think it is. It's just a number of ones and zeros.
Yeah.
And if you go down one side of the path, it will do something, and go down the other,
it's
it won't.
a flow chart.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Whereas this is actual intelligence. Even if it's slang, where it's just their way of interpreting a language, it's still genuine intelligence that they've created that for themselves.
Having Alexa in your home.
Yeah.
That is not AI. People refer to that as, it thinks for... No, it don't. You can tell it what to do.
It's
and
just a voice command.
It does something based on the command you've given it.
Yeah. And
it might choose to assume that you need that next time. But that's not AI. That's just programmed in. Yeah, so that is interesting. You know, they're having two robots talk to each other and then they create their own slang or they plot to take over the world.
My logic is undeniable.
You have so got to die.
So that leads nicely into Facebook again.
Go on.
And this is more for businesses out there.
This is seamless. This is
seamless, I'm telling you.
Like, Sam goes on holiday, he might not get back in. We might cut him from the
He's
show.
on holiday. He must be camping this week, wasn't he?
This is not what you had in mind.
What, he's always camping, eh?
Anyway, going back to Facebook, where we should be. Facebook, we spoke about this probably about 6 months ago. They did a similar thing. They're punishing websites that have a slow loading time.
Yeah.
And they were saying that 40% of users will wait for no more than 3 seconds for a page to load, otherwise they'll just give up on it.
They don't want to put websites into the feed because it puts users off using Facebook as a subsequent.
Yeah. Well, the move has come from user complaints saying there's too many slow loading websites.
And you know who's going to be hit the most on that is your traditional press, because the newspapers, they have ad-heavy websites because they think that that's the cure to their financial problems. It's not. Smarten up, come and see us, we'll sort you out. But then they just litter them with ads, and so they slow to load, and then they advertise on Facebook. So that's how they get, like, I'm not going to name names, but a lot of the local press around here, in my feed all the time. Yeah. You click on it, takes ages to load. So they're the ones that are going to be hit the most.
All they've done is take the ads that would traditionally go into the paper and just rip them out, put them down with a video or something like that, and that's it. There's no innovation
strategy
in it. They've just
at all,
gone,
is it? Yeah,
well, it worked here, so we'll do it here.
Exactly,
Done,
yeah.
sorted,
It
whatever.
worked in print, so it must work online. Thick Anyway, this is interesting.
Yep.
We keep talking about how crap Twitter is and how they're not innovating and how shit they're doing and how they've still not put in that phone call. I swear down, if they just 10 minutes with me and I'll give you loads of ideas.
So Twitter, and as you've said, we've spoken about extensively in the past that Twitter are struggling.
Yeah.
And now it's official. Their Q2 earnings came out and all the stats go with it, and they have grown across the world by 0 people. They've not lost anyone.
In a whole quarter, they've just literally
zero
plateaued.
Growth. And even worse than that, obviously, if you're buying stocks on Twitter, you're buying them probably from the US.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost 2 million monthly users in the US.
Wow.
Which is a big drop off when you've only got 350 million worldwide, give or take.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, their stock was down 14% by the end of the day.
The problem that Twitter have got at the minute is that they don't make that much money, I don't think. And so they've got to innovate to make more money, but then that's a problem because you then take your eye off what you really need to do, which is innovate for your users. Because your users are the one that will generate the income, etc., etc., etc. And the problem is that they like things like that. They're coming up with new advertising methods and stuff like that. But as users, we don't want to fucking see the ads.
No.
So they need to innovate for us and come up with some new stuff to keep us engaged in Twitter. And then by default, you'll get more place to put ads.
Well, that's what really surprised me because they went very heavy on sports, didn't they? And they've had
did,
live feeds for the NFL. I think they have some for the golf and stuff like that. The issue is that people don't go on Twitter to watch it; they'll go on Twitter to comment about it. So they're trying to be like a media company when really the best thing about them is the conversation. Like you go on to put your thoughts, your feelings, to give or whatever it might be. So you don't need to spend all this money on getting the rights to services, to sports, whatever. Well, really, you should just be putting that money into making your chat functions and features the best out there, whereas they're not at the moment.
I think it's interesting that you get technology companies, and Facebook's a classic example of this, in that a new feature comes out somewhere, perhaps in a new technology, like, for example, Snapchat, and then they immediately go, they're doing that, so we need to do that. Instead of thinking, do you know what? Yeah, they're doing that and they're doing that really well. So let's let them have that market, but let's come up with something new that's going to be even better, different. You know, something completely different that's out there. And they don't seem to do it. The big ones, they're just there. They set as they are. But I mean, Facebook, to be fair, they just buy anything.
What's the thing? Like Snapchat and Instagram, you can understand them taking from each other. I say taking from each other. Instagram taking from Snapchat. I mean, ethically, it's iffy. But you can see why they do it. But you see the same reason why it didn't work for Facebook. Like Facebook brought in stories, and it didn't.
No f***er uses it.
It shows how trying to be something that you're not just doesn't work. So Twitter don't need to be Facebook. They don't need to be Instagram. They don't need to be Snapchat. They need to be Twitter, and they need to be really good at Twitter. And once they get that down, they'll see success. Now it may not be Facebook numbers, but if you're growing by 0% every quarter, then whatever you're doing is not working.
I think people need to stop trying to be Facebook. You don't need that many users to be a massive success. Anyway, let's move on from technology.
Yes.
Let's have a bit of light-hearted stuff going on. Oh, it's National Beer Day! National Beer Day. Sorry, Chris. So I hope you're all having a pint whilst you watch this. So, BrewDog.
So, obviously, Trump wants to build his wall, which may be fence.
When does he want to build a wall? Let's give him context.
Very true. On the border, well, he probably wants to build many walls, but specifically this time, we're talking about... Specifically, I was hoping you'd jump on that. So, one chance to get revenge.
Specifically, where does he want to build this wall?
Between America and Mexico.
Right. And why does he want to build this wall?
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Prick, wanger. But BrewDog have got a different idea.
Right.
So rather than building a wall, they've built a bar on the border.
Like it.
Literally splits the border down the middle. It's on the border between Texas and Mexico. And on the US side of this bar, you can only buy Mexican beer. And on the Mexican side, you can only buy US beer.
Love it. Clearly, this is just one massive, awesome PR stunt.
Yeah.
But it's the concept of it. Don't hit it. We don't need to hit. That's not. And what on it, it's got printed, "Make beer, not walls." And which is quite cool. Real ales in the US at the minute are just massive.
Craft beer especially is. It's in a lot of places.
Yeah, it is.
The US really.
But it has been in the UK for a long time. But the US in the last 10 years, they've really adopted it. That's why Morales is a lot of their brew. beer goes over to the US.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a very strong growing market. But it's a clever. Like I said, it's a very good PR stunt.
Yeah.
How long it will stay open for, I don't know. If there's Wi-Fi, that sounds like the best bar job you could ever have, because you'll serve about 3 people a day.
So we want to do a competition. And the prize, obviously, as it's National Beer Day, will be some beer, probably BrewDog beer, since they have done this. Yeah, they're featured this week. If BrewDog want to send us any for getting featured on our 10,000 view video. So the competition, give us your best ideas of what Twitter can do to innovate and improve their fortunes. A static quarter is just the same as going backwards. If you're not moving forwards, you're going backwards. You can't plateau as a technology company, and that is mega bad news for them. So let's sort it out for them. Comment below with some Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and share, and give us your ideas for Twitter in the comments below.
We're out. Yeah. If you are going to have a website and you want traffic going there, it has to be efficient now.
Yeah, totally.
It can't be dog shit.
Yeah, and if it is dog shit and it takes longer than 3 seconds to load, then visit www.24marketing.co.uk. Whack!